guys, I am super excited because we are starting the subjunctive, or in Espanol, el subjuntivo. And this is pretty much what we're going to be spending a lot of the rest of our time on this year. Some people hate the subjunctive, but personally, I love it. There's a lot of different rules that you need to know, but I really like rules. So as long as you know the rules, you can do the subjunctive very easily. We don't really use the subjunctive as much in English anymore, but we do still use it. There's a lot of different triggers that we'll be going over which trigger the subjunctive. The subjunctive normally you use when you're talking about something that is not reality or that's not necessarily reality. The main trigger that you use is S, adjective, K, and it's called a general statement. So you can pretty much use any adjective here. So remember when we do the impersonal expressions, it's S, adjective, and then the full infinitive. When you add this K, it means they're going to have a conjugated verb. So in order to have the subjunctive, you have to have two clauses. And a clause is a part of your sentence that contains a subject and a verb. So S is it is. That's your subject and your verb. It is your subject and is your verb. And then you have to have a different subject and a verb. So for example, it's important that he pay the rent. We have two clauses, this clause and this clause. Subject and verb, subject and verb. And it's something that's not reality. It's important that he pay the rent. I don't know whether he pays the rent or not. I just know that it's important. So it's not necessarily the reality of him paying the rent. This is a nebulous idea that it's important for him to do it. And then this right here, this is the subjunctive in English. So technically, this is the correct way to say this. It's important that he pay the rent. But you would never say he pay, right? It sounds really weird. You would say he pays. So in English, you can get away with saying it's important that he pays the rent, but that's grammatically incorrect. It should be it's important that he pay the rent, which is a subjunctive in English. So again, we don't use it as much anymore in English, but it is very common in Spanish. Somebody who's a native speaker will use a subjunctive every single day. And lucky for us, conjugating the subjunctive is super easy because we have already done commands. And so the way that you form the subjunctive is exactly the same way that you form commands. So hopefully you remember that to form commands, you go to the yo, drop the o, and add the opposite ending. And it's the exact same way for subjunctive. So for prosperar, the yo would be prospero. And then remember the opposite ending for AR verbs are the E endings. So yo prospere, tú prosperes, él, ella, usted prospere, nosotros prosperemos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes prosperen. So it's very much like the usted command, ustedes command, nosotros commands. All you're learning is the yo and the tú. The yo and the él, ella, usted are exactly the same. So it's really important when you are saying your sentence to identify your subject. So es importante que yo prospere. Es importante que él prospere, right? It's important that I prosper, or it's important that he prosper. Okay, for volver, remember that the opposite ending for ER verbs are the AR endings. So you need to go to the yo, drop the O, and add the opposite ending. The yo for volver is vuelvo, because remember it's a stem changer. So you need to go to vuelvo, drop the O, and add the A endings. So the yo would be vuelva, tú vuelvas, él, ella, usted vuelva. Remember, just like in the commands, there is no stem change in nosotros for AR and ER verbs. So volvamos, and then ellos, ellas, ustedes vuelvan. Es necesario que tú vuelvas a la escuela todos los días. It's necessary that you return to school every day. Insistir is an IR verb. Remember, IR verbs also go to the A endings. So you have to go to the yo, drop the O, add the opposite ending. The yo for insistir would be insisto, and the opposite ending would be insista. Tú insistas. Él, ella, usted insista. Nosotros insistamos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes insistan. So it should be pretty easy. Just go to the yo, drop the O, add the opposite ending. There are a couple things you want to remember, and those are the stem changers. So just like in the regular commands, we have cargar, zar. So criticar, the yo would be critico, drop the O, and add the opposite ending. We have to change it to a Q-U-E, because otherwise, if you kept it the same, it would be critice. We want to keep the K sound, so it has to be critique. Tú critiques, él, ella, usted critique. nosotros critiquemos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes critiquen. For jugar, remember car changes to QUE, gar changes to GUE, but you have to go to the yo first, because remember the yo of jugar is juego, so it is a stem changer and a spell changer, so you have to go to the yo, juego, drop the O and add the opposite ending, and it goes to GUE. So yo juegue, tú juegues, él, ella, usted juegue. Nosotros, remember there's no stem change for AR and ER verbs in the nosotros, and then ellos, ellas, ustedes jueguen. And remember, you want to keep the g sound. That's why I have to do the GUE instead of just GE, which would be h. I'll say cruzar. So car goes to QUE, gar goes to GUE, zar goes to CE. So for cruzar, the yo would be cruce, tú cruces, él, ella, usted cruce, nosotros crucemos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes crucen. So again, go to the O, drop the O, add the opposite ending, and you do have to remember car, gar, zar. So for practice, es bueno que todos ustedes ver mi episodio de House Hunters. So it is good that all of you see my episode of House Hunters, which is totally true. You all should watch it. So the ustedes form in the subjunctive of ver, you're going to go to the yo, which is veo, drop the O and add the opposite ending. It's an ER verb, so the AR endings are going to be the opposite ones. So vean. Es bueno que todos ustedes vean mi episodio de House Hunters. And again, this is not necessarily reality. I don't know whether you're going to watch it or not. I'm just telling you that it's good if you do. And maybe you'll get extra credit. Who knows? Okay, es importante que nosotros, and then proteger el medio ambiente. So you want to go to the yo, and remember that the yo of proteger actually has a J. So protejo, drop the O, add the opposite ending. It's an ER verb, so the AR endings are the opposite ending. So the nosotros form would be protejamos, which is the same as the nosotros command. And then es normal que a Davi no le, and then gustar los perros. And remember, you have to go to the yo, which technically we would never say gusto, but drop the O and add the opposite ending. It's an AR verb, so the opposite ending for AR verbs are the ER endings. And los perros is plural, so we need the plural form of gustar, so it would be gusten. It's normal that Dobby doesn't like dogs. Remember, Dobby is my cat. Or it's normal that dogs are not pleasing to Dobby. In any case, it's going to be subjunctive because we have S, adjective, K. And we're going to be practicing subjunctive a lot, but you may want to make sure you watch this video a couple times just so you really understand it well. Thank you.